Hugh Sullivan, congratulations on your film The Infinite Man, a film that dares to do something interesting and novel with one of the most overused devices in film today. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yes, I think it became apparent sort of early in the writing. Time travel was a genre or a device that I was very fond of and kind of wanted to try my hand at, and it became clear quite early in the writing that it is an extremely overused thing, and I was worried at that point that I might not be able to do something different with it, and I was wondering what the hell I was doing then. But over time it became my own thing, and I think more of just myself kind of filtered into the work, and it just became a more personal project, I guess. And time travel really became more about the sort of metaphoric possibilities of such a device than just about it being a way to create this jigsaw narrative that just, where the fun was in the piecing together. That became less interest to me, and it became more about the emotional journey of the characters.
You can go over 25 words if you like, but can you describe the synopsis of this film?
I think we are describing it as it's a time travel comedy romance about a man whose attempts to create the perfect romantic weekend go awry when he traps his lover in an infinite time loop, as tends to happen. But I know a lot of people have, I think, see it as a rom-com, but that's certainly not how I see it, I suppose. I know that seems like an odd distinction, comedy, romance, or romantic comedy, but I think there is a distinction, and a rom-com suggests certain conventions that I wasn't so interested in adhering to, or even sort of finding out what they may be. I just, if that makes sense.
It does. It struck me seeing the film a second time that the film you have there is very enjoyable and very novel and surprising, and there's a lot of interesting left turns in it. I would dare say that you're probably maybe one or two drafts away from actually doing a formulaic rom-com using time travel as the key gimmick. Mm-hmm. Was there any point in developing this where you thought that was an avenue to go down?
That's interesting that you put it that way. It makes me thankful that we were, had to go into production when we did. I'm not sure. I didn't have any interest in taking it down that path. That is something that I wanted to avoid. I just wanted to do something that, obviously that would be a film that I would like to see, and that sort of, potentially banal rom-com is not something that I'd be particularly interested in seeing. So I was certainly interested in steering away from that and just creating something that was hopefully kind of true to myself and, my voice, whatever that may be.
Obviously you're using time travel device in order to say something about the way people relate, about human relationships. What is that thing that you're wanting to actually say about young love or romantic love?
I don't know. I really sort of tend to shy away from boiling things down to a single sentence or statement. I feel the moment that I do that, I perhaps lose interest in the work, or it was about conveying a feeling as much as it was about conveying an idea, about relationships or something. I don't know if I have a great deal to sort of say that hasn't already been said, but there were certain kind of feelings that I don't know, that it just that I think cinema can express, but I don't even know if I can articulate what those feelings are exactly.
Did you start shooting before you'd finished the script, or had you signed off and locked off a finished screenplay before you started shooting?
Look, we did have a locked off script, and I think ideally it would have been locked off a lot earlier in the process, but it was kind of, I was writing until very late, in the day, and I was still writing on set in the evenings and just trying to improve things. Yeah.
The rewrites that you were doing during production, were they major structural rewrites or small things that happened within scenes?
Small things within scenes. It was the kind of film that we just couldn't go into it with an unfinished screenplay because every scene is so dependent on what came before it and what comes after it that it just would have been, extreme folly to go into production with, still not having worked out the ending or something like that. I know it happens, but it would have been bad on this kind of film, I think.
Am I the first person to ask you whether you are committed to taking that key principle into the rest of your career?
Look, I think it's wise if I enjoy writing and I have a great deal of respect for the screenplay and the thought of just not having that complete before going to production just seems kind of...
Where has the film screened and what's the reaction been like?
It's screened at its world premiere was South by Southwest in Boston, and it was extremely warmly received there, and we got a great critical response, and the audience seemed to really enjoy it.
Why?
Why?
South by Southwest. What do they care about? Time travel romantic comedies made in desolate locations in Australia.
Well, I was wondering. I wasn't sure. We assumed that it would just fly completely under the radar, being a small Aussie film, and there are many films at South by Southwest, and we certainly didn't have as high a profile as many of the other films screening there. But I'm not sure. People just we didn't know if it would connect with any audience, let alone an American audience, and we were just extremely relieved to find that it did. We put a lot of work into it, obviously, but you still don't know if it's going to connect with an audience. You hope it does. But
and one thing I really admired about your film, and I have to say this in contrast to Predestination, here you seem to maintain a balance between work and the concept and making it fun. It's a fun film to watch.
Yeah, that's great to hear. That certainly, again, in the writing process became a focus. It became clear quite early on that, I guess the mechanics of it all, while it was important that it add up, it just wasn't where the pleasure was for me, and I suspected that it wouldn't be where the pleasure was for the audience. So I just tried to loosen it up as much as possible and have fun with it, and once you have those characters and they have their voices, then they're kind of going to lead you in a certain direction, and you just got to kind of follow that, I guess.
Now, Hugh Sullivan, I'd like to invite you into my time machine.
Sure.
And I'd like to go forward in time 4 weeks. The timeline that we're going to go forward in is the best possible scenario timeline. So if you could just close your eyes and just clench your fist, because it's a little bit painful, the time travel. So here we go, forward in time 4 weeks, and
here we are.
Okay. Hugh, is that okay?
Yeah, that was
okay. We're now 4 weeks after the release of your film The Infinite Man, and we are in the best possible scenario timeline. So can you just describe to me the best possible scenario 4 weeks after the release of your film?
It's still showing in cinemas. I think that's people are enjoying it. It's people are going to see it. Hopefully, it's, I don't know. It's just simply still in cinemas.
And you've had interest from overseas, apparently.
Just focusing on the next project.
Yeah. Well, word is the Americans like you, and they want you to make a film, but they're also talking about an American version of the film. What do you think about that?
I would direct them to the Australian version, and I don't know. I do feel that that's the film. I would happily just sort of.
They want to buy the rights to remake the film, but remake it as an American formulaic rom-com using time travel.
So you said this was the best case scenario.
This is the best case scenario. What would you do? What are you thinking of doing?
I would just very happily have The Infinite Man just remain what it is. That's the film that we made, and that's just what it is.
Well, here's to it continuing its run.
I would love to hear your thoughts on what is a realistic expectation. I might have bound up with best case scenario, so I'm trying to be positive. I would hope that it's still in cinemas. I would hope that it is connecting with an audience. I can only talk about hopes. I think I don't know what it is to be realistic, because things can just surprise you for better or worse. And I think I can hope that it's for better.